Hi everyone, welcome to GameReviews411, and more importantly, welcome to the world of Silent Hill in this review of Silent Hill Shattered Memories. Although this game is also available on the PlayStation 2 and PSP, this review is specifically for the Wii version of the game. Now let me preface this review by saying that before playing this game, I had never played a Silent Hill game before. I had heard a lot about the series that made me want to get involved with the games, but I really had no expectations going into Shattered Memories. Now that I've completed this game multiple times, I'm excited to explore other parts of the creepy town of Silent Hill and discover other horrors within. What about this game is so darn intriguing? Well, let's take a look and find out. Harry Mason is driving in heavy snow when suddenly he loses control of his car and crashes into a junkyard located within the town limits of Silent Hill. He passes out on the snowy ground only to discover when he wakes up that his daughter Cheryl, who had been with him in the car, has vanished. Harry sets out into the night to find out what has become of Cheryl, and as he treks over nearly the entire town of Silent Hill, Harry is presented with revelations that make him question reality and wonder if he's going crazy. Now, interspersed within Harry's adventures in Silent Hill are various interactive scenes in a psychiatrist's office for you to complete. Although these scenes are somewhat separate from the main gameplay, they actually morph the story into your unique experience. The characters you interact with, the locations you visit, and even the puzzles you solve are completely influenced by how you respond in these psychiatrist sessions. By changing up answers, you can play a drastically different game with the same plot skeleton, but different cutscenes and endings each playthrough. Usually, these psychological profiling scenes will involve your psychiatrist asking you true-false or yes-no questions in addition to having you complete an activity, such as dividing pictures into certain categories. How you respond is completely up to you and will impact how your personal game plays out. I personally love the story and the directions it took. It was the major factor that kept me coming back to play this game. I've played hundreds of video games in my lifetime, and this is one of the best stories I've ever experienced. Everywhere Harry went and everything Harry did was for a logical reason. Also, the pacing at which the story unraveled was perfect. As you keep playing, the plot gets crazier and more messed up, psychologically pulling you deeper and deeper into the plot. By the final revelation, the story should have given you a lot to think about. Technically, this game is classified as survival horror. While it definitely does have horror elements, I'm more inclined to call it an adventure or thriller game. One of my main reasons for not wanting to call it survival horror is that there is no combat in this game at all. At certain points in the game, you must flee from humanoid creatures that want to cause you harm, but apart from these obvious chase scenes, you are free to explore your environment without fear of monsters attacking you. With that being said, you should still be prepared for a few things to pop out at you and deliver some jump scares. You play this game from a third-person perspective, but there is no camera shifting. You are always looking over Harry's shoulder, just barely refraining from being in first person, except for the psychiatrist scenes which actually are in first person. Moving around for the Wii version is simple by using the nunchuck. The Wiimote is used as a flashlight to illuminate and zoom in on items. The Wiimote speaker will also act as your cell phone, which you use as your map, save file, and main communication with other characters. Moving around was incredibly easy and I was able to pick it up perfectly within the first few minutes of gameplay. Responsiveness was excellent and I never had a problem with controls. Now, the majority of the game consists of Harry exploring locations in Silent Hill and solving puzzles along the way. The puzzles that you solve always make sense and usually have a reason for being there, unlike some games where you'll have to do ridiculous tasks that would never be found in real life. Personally, I found many of the puzzles to be too easy and would have preferred more of a challenge, but every now and then there would be a tough problem that would be satisfyingly difficult. Some of the puzzles were Wii motion based. These were always really fun to do, and once again I always found the responsiveness to be spot on. I won't mention too much about the chase scenes because you really just have to experience them to enjoy and understand them. Basically, you have to run from pursuers and get to a certain location. Normal entrances and exits are blocked off though, so it's somewhat of a maze situation where you will encounter dead ends and have monsters jumping onto you if they get the chance. You cannot fight the creatures, but you can throw them off of you when they latch on by using the Wiimote. You can also throw down furniture to slow them down, and use flares scattered throughout the scene to scare the monsters away temporarily. There are enough chase scenes in the game to keep you on your toes, and they can often get intense, although they probably won't have you ever scared out of your mind. Silent Hill Shattered Memories is a very linear game. Your goals are fairly obvious and your locations are usually spacious enough to explore, but compact enough to keep you from wandering around aimlessly. There aren't many locked doors in the game, and when there are, they are usually accessible in another playthrough by making different choices. The town is completely covered in snow, and there are many shops that you will see but never be able to enter because the snow is piled up in front of the door. There are many different locations that you will explore in the game, but once you leave one, you usually aren't going to be able to backtrack. The short length of the game is the most disappointing aspect of Shattered Memories. It clocked in at about 8 hours for me on my first playthrough, with me taking my time to go through each location and examine every little detail. Once I finished, I immediately started a new game, which only lasted about 4 hours since I didn't use as much time to explore slowly. However, as I've mentioned before, the second playthrough was entirely different than the first. Every single character I encountered had a different personality than before, and the places I explored were somewhat different. The replay value definitely balances out the short length. What you think about the graphics in Shattered Memories is completely based on whether you're comparing them to current games or just to other games on the Wii. If you're going to compare this game's graphics to other graphics found in modern games like Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, which I previously reviewed and said were gorgeous, then you'll be disappointed. If you compare these graphics in this game to other Wii titles, however, then you might be slightly impressed. While they definitely aren't breaking any records in regards to realism, the graphics are really not bad to look at. Also, the game is very detailed. Every poster usually has readable script on it, and every item has been designed and placed into the environment with care. I own quite a few Wii games and can't think of another Wii title with this level of intricate detail. I also really liked the voice acting in this game. It's very professionally done. However, as I've mentioned before, the characters you interact with can drastically change in your next playthrough. I feel like the voice actors could have made these changes much more distinct with their voices, but that's only something you'll notice on the second or third playthrough. It won't bother you at all during your first game. Also, while the lip syncing of characters again isn't breaking any records, I still found it to be quite well done. As for the music in Shattered Memories, it's gorgeous and particularly atmospheric. Although the scenes with an absence of music are creepy, the locations with music are even more moody. There's such a variety in the songs you will hear, but they are all beautifully spooky and worth listening to. The songs with vocals are particularly well done and fit the game perfectly. I've fallen in love with playing this game and discovering new locations and character personalities each playthrough. The story is captivating, and I personally love the idea and implementation of the chase scenes. The graphics are great looking on the Wii, and the voice acting and music are both wonderful to listen to. The replay value of this game is extraordinarily high, but the game is also very short. The puzzles weren't much of a challenge, although they were usually fun to do. I wish there was more of a scare factor, but overall this game has made me excited to try other games in the same series, which is probably one of the best things a game can do. Since there are so few flaws in the game, I'm giving the Wii version of Silent Hill Shattered Memories a score of +2 and a rating of awesome. I highly recommend this game to those looking for a creepy, light horror game with adventure elements mixed in. Thanks so much for watching. As always, feel free to like and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Also, if you've heard of this game or even played it, leave a comment letting me know what you think. I love reading your comments and try to respond to each one. Also, at the very end of this video, I will link to a mystery review of either myself or someone else that you can check out if you have time. I look forward to seeing you all in another video here on Game Reviews 411.